First impression is everything, especially in the world of music. Debut albums have the power to define an artist's career. In this video, we'll look at 8 of the biggest debut albums of all time. We'll start off with Sour by Olivia Rodrigo. It was Olivia's first album, released on May 21, 2021. It came out following her breakout single Driver's License, which took over the world, spending 8 weeks on number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Sour shook up the music scene with its raw emotion and relatable storytelling and resonated with an entire generation. It brought a revival of the pop-punk energy with tracks like Good For You and Brutal. When it was released, it broke the global Spotify record for the most streamed album in a single week by a female artist, and is now in the top 10 of the most streamed albums of all time, with 11.2 billion streams on Spotify. It was also critically acclaimed, scoring 83 out of 100 on Metacritic. Sour also won the Best Pop Vocal Album at the 2022 Grammys. Whitney Houston by Whitney Houston. It is the debut album by the icon Whitney Houston, released on February 14, 1985. It was the introduction to the voice of a generation. It became the best-selling debut album by a female artist of all time. It spent 14 consecutive weeks at the top of the Billboard 200, and as of 2023, it has sold more than 14 million copies in the US. The album is packed with hits, scoring 3 number 1s, with a smooth R&B hit Saving All My Love For You, How Will I Know, a synth-funk dance-pop banger, and the final single, Greatest Love of All. The album showcased her extraordinary vocal range and has some of the best vocal performances by any debut album ever. This album marked a shift in the industry, showcasing that a black female artist could achieve global success and become a pop icon. When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish. Billie's hype was reaching a boiling point, and there was huge pressure on her to deliver on her debut album, and delivers what she did when she released When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go on March 29, 2019. It changed the norm of what is expected from pop music, with its dark and gothic sound and visuals. She was just 17 years old when she released the album, but it showed maturity way beyond her years. It is now one of the most streamed albums of all time, with 10.5 billion streams on Spotify. The album is also hailed by the critics, scoring 82 out of 100 on Metacritic. At the 2020 Grammys, the album won awards for Album of the Year, Best Pop Vocal Album, and Best Engineered Album. It is considered as a sound of a generation. Control by SZA. It is SZA's debut album, released on June 9, 2017. It was a slow burner, debuting on number 3 on the Billboard 200, moving 60,000 units in its first week, but now being certified 3 times platinum by the RIAA. It is one of the longest lasting albums on the Billboard 200, now on its 443rd week on the chart. It is one of my favorite albums of the 2010s, and one I go back to often. Illmatic by Nas. It was released on April 19, 1994, by a 20-year-old Nas. It was the first thing that hip-hop fans heard of him, and they were hooked. It painted a vivid picture of urban life, capturing the struggles, aspirations, and complex realities of the streets. Tracks like New York State of Mind and The World Is Yours showcased elite level of lyricism and storytelling. The album did not perform as expected when it was released, selling 63,000 copies in its first week, but it has lasted and has become a timeless classic. It is one of the most critically acclaimed albums of all time, out of 100 on Metacritic. It is regarded as the best hip-hop album of all time. The Fame by Lady Gaga. It is the pop icon's first album, released on August 19, 2008. Gaga burst onto the scene with a sound and style that would redefine the landscape of popular music. The album is full of bangers and smash hits like Just Dance, which peaked on number 1, Poker Face, which also peaked on number 1, Love Game, which peaked on number 5, and Paparazzi, which peaked on number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album started off selling just 24,000 copies in its first week, but it has since been certified 6 times platinum by the RIAA. It is one of the longest lasting albums on the Billboard 200, spending close to 350 weeks on the chart. It is one of the most impactful debut albums of all time. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill. It is the first, only, and probably last album by Lauryn Hill, released on August 25, 1998. It is a great fusion of neo-soul, R&B, and hip-hop. Lauryn's ability to effortlessly navigate between genres is amazing. She is elite at both singing and rapping, and that's rare. The album debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart, selling 422,000 copies in its first week. It is one of the best heartbreak albums ever, and X Factor is one of my favorite songs of all time. The Miseducation won 5 awards at the 1999 Grammys, becoming the first rap album to win Album of the Year. The album has sold over 20 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling hip-hop albums of all time. The College Dropout by Kanye West. In the early 2000s, a producer turned rapper burst onto the scene, shattering stereotypes and redefining the hip-hop landscape. Kanye released his debut album, The College Dropout, on February 10, 2004. At the time, mainstream hip-hop was dominated by gangster rap, and the album was a breath of fresh air that spoke to regular people. It popularized the chipmunk soul sound in hip-hop. It debuted on number 2 on the Billboard 200, selling 441,000 copies in its first week. It also won Rap Album of the Year at the 2005 Grammy Awards. The first time I heard this album was in my freshman year in college, and then I dropped out. I didn't, but it made me want to. The album is fun, but touches on very serious subjects. Jesus Walks talks about struggling with his faith. Spaceship talks about the struggles of working a minimum wage job and hoping for more. And All Falls Down speaks about the issue of consumerism. The College Dropout scored 91 out of 100 on Metacritic, and is considered as one of the best albums of the 2000s. What albums did I miss? Tell me in the comments below. Maybe I'll do a part 2.